The Bear Essentials podcast gives older bears a place to gather for real talk regarding topics and issues that they can relate to. Here at The Bear Essentials, we aren't just having conversations. We are looking to provide actionable intelligence through real-life experience and expertise of our guests. Our mission is to build a strong community that elevates and motivates people to go beyond their limiting beliefs by helping them realize that getting older is not an excuse to hibernate on their goals, but a reason to work harder.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I am your host, Charles Wallace. Today, we have a special episode. For the first time, I'm joined by a co-host, my wife, Cynthia Wallace. And our guest today, he's a BODi super trainer, and his workouts, such as lift 4, 10 rounds, and lift more, have changed the lives of millions of people. So, without further ado, let's welcome Joel Freeman to the show. But first, a word from our sponsor. Wolfinger Consulting, experts who have achieved real results for their clients, including complying efficiently and successfully with overwhelming discovery orders, passing difficult third-party security audits, and deploying bleeding-edge technology platforms to control and preserve corporate information. Let them show you what Wolfinger Consulting can do for you. Be sure to check out their webpage at wolfingerforensics.com. Hey, Joel, how's it going? Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Charles. How are you?
Doing well, man. This is really a pleasure. And for those who watch the show, you may have never met her before. I have my wife, Cindy, on the phone, who is a big fan of Joel and his workouts, and it helped her lose 100+ pounds. So I thought this would be great to have her kind of sit in and introduce her to my audience as well. Joel, would you mind giving the audience a bit of a background about yourself?
Okay, sure. So Joel Freeman, I am as they call a super trainer for Beachbody, BODi now, formerly Beachbody. That's what most people obviously know. The company has been around for about 25 years, I think it's going on. So I have been in the health and fitness industry since I was 19. So I'm going over 20 years now because I turned 41 in a couple of weeks. And honestly, this has been what I've been doing. And what I've been doing is for the past 20 years is health and fitness in every capacity. So started in the gym industry, working the front desk, graveyard shift, 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift when I was 19 years old, and then slowly progressed and really was more on the business side of it for a very long time. And in terms of managing gyms, and I was a director for Gold's Gym Southern California franchise for the group exercise department, then moved into their marketing department, was the marketing director for them. And then through, any industry, you meet people and network and everything. And that's how I got involved with Beachbody. I was also a Les Mills instructor for, it's a group exercise choreography company out of New Zealand. Started that in my early 20s. And then, so I just honestly at this point at almost 41, I feel like I've kind of done it all when it comes to health and fitness. And I love where I am now. I can't imagine being anywhere else but with BODi and what I get to do and make amazing programs. And the stories is what keeps me going, and those success stories like you two is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that's why we do it. That's why I do it. That's why I love making programs from a sustainability standpoint. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm sure we'll probably talk about this more as we move on, but like making programs that are lifestyle programs that people are not just going to do for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, but they're going to do for years, for 4 weeks, for 4 years, or 6 years, or 8 years. That's what I'm going for. So other than that, if I'm not in health and fitness, I live in Texas now, and my girlfriend with her 3 kids and live here, and we are just having a great time. And 2 cats.
That we hear you there. We have 4 dogs, so we understand the pets. But hey, you touched
4 kids.
And 4 kids, yeah.
How
I mentioned
you have 1 dog for each kid. I like it.
Yeah, right. Joel, you mentioned something there, and I'm really glad Cindy is on here because I think that's the sustainability aspect you mentioned. Right. I noticed with Cindy, it's not only her commitment to it over the short term, it's the repeating of the cycles over and over. And I think, to your point, you've seen that and it helps you continue on. Joel, when you created the programs, the lift 4, lift more, the 10 rounds, all of that, was that a goal and was that your intent? Was it to kind of give people something to obviously repeat multiple times?
Absolutely. That was lift 4 was my first solo program. At the very beginning, there's always a whole team of people involved in this, and from the top down, from the CEO down. And so we always look at the programming aspect of it and say, okay, what do we want? High level, we look at what do we want to come out of. So lift 4, my first solo program, was actually quite simple in terms of what we wanted. We knew we wanted a program that was simple and effective. We wanted something that was 4 days, which hadn't been done in that style before. And then that also brought the challenge of 4 days, making sure we're still getting results off of the 4 days. So that was a lot of fun to write, because my thought process was, I took everything over the years of working in the gym industry and thought about all the barriers to health and fitness, all the barriers that people had to meeting their health and fitness goals, which was, I don't have enough time. There's not enough, I can't do 6 days or 5 days. And so we addressed all those barriers in lift 4. And I knew that creating a program that is 8 weeks long is going to give you, you can get great results in 8 weeks, but then we see people in the gym or anywhere in home fitness or anywhere, they're going to do something for 8 weeks and then they go right back to what they were doing. And then they either gain the weight back or they're just, or they even get worse, or they even gain more weight back. So the idea behind lift 4, and then in my mind, every program I write in my brain is always like, okay, if I'm never to create another program again, if this is my swan song, then how do I want this to be? How do I want this to look? And I'm hoping that people will have that consistency in the programming. And lift 4 has shown that. It came out in summer of 2018, and still one of the top programs in the views in the library. So, and that shows that people are staying consistent. And to lose 100 pounds, you can't do that in 8 weeks. And that's why I tell people all the time, as frustrating as it is, you got to trust that process. But it didn't take you 8 weeks to gain 100 pounds, right? It took years of unfortunate practices. And so we want to, my goal is to hopefully in my programming undo those years of inconsistent behavior with years of consistent exercise and behavior.
Yeah, I would think, and I'm gonna ask you right now so that you can talk to Joel a little bit, is when did you find that was like one of the hardest parts, honestly, like the consistency and doing it over and over? Was that would you see Joel's programs? What is it that helps you continue to do it over and over?
Well, I think now it's gotten to the point where I actually look forward to working out, and Joel's program is a tough program. Like it's tough. It's not really for beginners. I started out with some other programs with the 21-day fix and just even walking around the block and everything. But I really do, as an older woman now, I just turned 50 in this summer. It is true that you do need to lift. Like you need to lift to keep your muscles, and everything. And I like that I'm able to like do the programs over and over again. And
yeah, and I think
I'm going to start it up again on Monday. So
nice.
And Joel, I think the home base too, right? I think that helps also. And I think what you put together is really a big deal for like people like us, honestly, like that maybe not able to get out to the gym. But I think what Cindy just touched on about it being more difficult, I think that is a big deal. How did you kind of get that balance, Joel, as far as knowing, like, because I know in the beginning, for me at least, sometimes if a workout was too hard, it might lead me to not want to do it as much. How do you kind of cross that line of making it where people will stick with it, but no, they're still getting what they need?
Yeah. And look, lift 4, every time I start writing something, or if I know I'm about to start doing a program, we always have like an Excel doc and high level thing. And I always put the very top, success and simplicity. And that's how, and that stays at the top of everything that I write, even when I'm just doing straight live body workouts. So lift 4 was designed for beginners to intermediate to advanced to people who have been lifting for years. And the reason for that, or the reason I can say that, is because the weightlifting moves are basic, dumbbells only. The equipment, dumbbells only. That's all we used, right? And then we didn't bring the bench in. That's why people are all doing presses on the floor, so helping them understand proper movement. So it's very, very. And this is the nice thing about weightlifting and dumbbells, is the fact that you can design a program that is for the novice who has never lifted a weight heavier than 10 pounds before, to someone who has been lifting every single day, because the dumbbells is obviously how you create a challenge. So it could be 5 pounds, it could be 50 pounds. So it is designed, Lift 4 is definitely designed for everybody. I understand what you're saying, Cindy, though, about the, it's definitely an intimidation factor, right? Because dumbbells can be intimidating, especially if you're coming into it, if you're deconditioned and whatnot. So it's great that you started with something that you didn't find as intimidating. Then when you felt you were ready for that next step and that next level, then you took it on, which is awesome. And then, as you said too, now you look forward to it. And that's the key. That's the trick, is to I always want to create something that no matter what, even, you wake up the next day and you're like, I can't wash my hair, or I can't feel my legs, and I can't go down the stairs or up the stairs. There's still an element of you're having fun during the workout. At least I hope there's some sort of element of fun. That, I'm an idiot when I'm filming. We're a big goofball, so we have a lot of fun on set. And then a level of enjoyment, and that's where you have to find something about the workouts that you enjoy as well, because it's, so there is a challenge of always making sure that everybody can do these programs. But the nice thing is, when it comes to weightlifting, that you can always challenge yourself no matter how long you've been lifting.
Yeah, and that's I can tell just from watching and hearing her do the workouts, Joel. I can tell how much she does enjoy it, and just I'm happy that I was able to lose weight, but I think I'm even more proud of how much effort, because she actually motivates me now, and I think having each other, it helps us motivate each other to stay on the right path as we get older. Joe, I wanted to ask you also about, and this is more selfish for me being a man. When you're creating these workouts, especially as we get older, and I've been dealing with this myself now, how about as far as like the hormones and things like that go, as far as testosterone, T levels, things like that? Is that something you kind of consider? Because with the weights, the heavy weights, the human growth hormones, things like that, is that kind of part of it to help as we get older? Things like that?
I mean, it's not something that we actively look at in terms of, we keep it very generic. Let me say it that way. So the way, or at least I do, when I'm writing the programs, what I do is I look at it from the standpoint of of looking at saying, okay, how can this program be as generic and helpful to as many people as possible? And without getting into something specific like that, because when you start going down a rabbit hole like that, it can be, because every single person is different. So me at 41 is going to be different than someone else at 41. Like my T levels are great, but I attribute that also to the past 20 years of lifting and proper diet and proper exercise. There's genetics involved as well. So, that's why I always tell everybody, I still get my panels done every single year and get checked every single year. Now, obviously, if and when my T levels start to drop, then I'll address that. But everybody's different, and it's the same thing. And then ladies, you're even more different when it comes to hormones. I tell Megan all the time, I'm like, man, I love being the guy, because what y'all deal with, I don't think I can do it. So, from a generic standpoint, my answer to it is, you just need to lift. Everyone needs to work out. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter your testosterone levels. Doesn't matter your estrogen levels. Doesn't matter if you're going through menopause. It doesn't matter. From the generic standpoint, everybody needs to do some sort of resistance training. And when I don't mean just body weight resistance training, but actually weightlifting resistance training to a minimum of 2 days a week. Like, no matter what. That's just from a very generic standpoint. Now, obviously, when you start talking about specific goals, then you go down a rabbit hole like that. But overall, again, I'm thinking of it from the standpoint of, we are not winning the obesity battle right now. We are still losing the obesity battle. And this is 20 years of being in the industry, and we're still having the same damn conversations about this. And we're still seeing people get sicker. We're seeing people get bigger. And so that's how I look at it from that standpoint of hey man, let's just get you moving. Let's just get you moving. Let's just get you working out. Let's just get you lifting. Let's just maybe not drink all that, that many Cokes a day. Let's just not maybe eat that much crap a day. Like, let's just do that. And then we can go down the rabbit hole and some other specifics. But let's just start with the generic stuff first, because that in itself will make such a big difference. I think people, they really try to go into it so specifically, so quickly. And when you start doing that, you're going to get overwhelmed really quickly too. Of just, like, how many days do I do this? Well, how about this? Well, about that? What's what I split? How much do I eat? How much calories should I eat? I mean, what if you just ate a little? If you were overweight, what if you just ate a little bit less? Like, we all know what we should and shouldn't eat, right? Come on. Like, for the most part, we know if you go to McDonald's, you probably shouldn't. So, like, stuff like that. And then from the workout perspective, what if you just start working out 4 days a week and you're not, that's more than zero. So, yeah, I try to keep as generic as possible from that standpoint.
I think what you just said is really good, because Cindy probably more than me experiences this, but me also to a degree. But obviously you have a presence on social media. Like, Joel, how do you because what you do to get people to start moving, right? I feel like you're doing a great job, especially now that I'm following you more on social media. Like, do you intentionally try to come across to as many people as possible to maybe what you just said, get them to start doing it? Because Cindy and I find out a lot, people will ask us about it, but it feels like if it's not a magic solution, then they don't want to hear it. So is there intention now with you with social media and your platforms to try to win this battle against obesity?
You know what? Social media is the bane of my existence. It really feels like that sometimes, because it's ever changing. And I say it that way because I see what gets more likes and more follows and more traction, and it's other BS. It's filtered. It's opinions that are just ridiculous, and it's almost like fear mongering in a lot of ways, and heavy filters, and people who are just completely out of touch with reality. But that's what social media is, right? Like, that's what it's become, is this virtual, out of reality world. And obviously that's not how it started. I mean, I go back to MySpace days. And when Facebook first started, it was put together to create a community, and we a lot of that's been lost, and that's fine. That's just the evolution. That's how things evolve. For me and my social media, what I've done over the past couple years is I'm just going to do what I say on my workouts. I'm just going to stay consistent in what I post, because no matter what I do, no matter what I say and post or anything like that, the things that I think they're going to get traction, they don't. And and then like the silly little things that Megan and I might do together for a silly reel, that'll go viral, about loading a freaking dishwasher. So that goes viral. But so it doesn't matter how much time I spend in terms of the education standpoint, it's not going to gain traction. So I use it as a motivational tool, really, is what I use, because the educational standpoint for what I do is in the program, right? So in terms of queuing and how to do it, and the program materials and all that stuff. So that's where that material lies. So I just use my social media as a tool of motivation, and hopefully, and hoping that the people who follow me see that, well, I'm staying consistent and I do what I say. I work out, but I also have whiskey. And so, and just enjoying your life at the same time, and finding that balance for however that looks for anybody.
So, Joel, I wanted to ask you this then too. Obviously, great at what you do, physical, putting the programs together. How much of your kind of job do you find, though, tends to lead almost to you're almost like the therapist or the psychologist? How much of that do you end up dealing with?
For me personally?
Yeah, just in general, when you're trying to get people to work out and stuff, I feel like you trainer, it could be a lot of psychological and physical.
I mean, I bang my head into the wall daily when I see people doing things on social media. No, in my mind, I've always been the tough love type of trainer, the tough love type of guy, saying, look, it's up to you, do it or not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to put these programs together, and I'm going to do it. Like, I have to do tough things on a daily basis myself. That's just called being an adult. And, from the tough. So when I do get messages from people saying, oh, what do? I don't know how to do it. Yes, you do. Like, you know exactly what to do. You just want me to hold your hand through it. I'm not a hand holder like that. So so I'm the guy that I'm not going to be, I'll always be behind you cheering you on, but you're going to get my boot in your butt first to get you moving from that standpoint. So no, psychologically, I'm great because I'm going to tell, because it's like, look, it's also how bad you want it. Like how bad do you really want to make a change? Like we all go through stages in our life. We all go through seasons in our life. Wintertime, maybe we got a little bit extra fluff around us, right? Because we're cold. That's what we want to do. That's what other mammals do it too, right? Fat for the winter. Mm-hmm. So we all go through those things. So there's always stages, and I go through the exact same thing. There's certain stages where I'm like, oh man, I need to dial that back in a little bit and things like that. But it's only up to me. Like there's nobody else can do it for you. So, coming up with, everyone will always have excuses. It's just a matter of how much you want it. And that's what I've learned over the years of doing this, not just from this job standpoint, but just a life standpoint of like, look, no one else is going to do it for you but you. So if you don't want to do it, great, but don't complain about it.
Yeah, no, that's, I think for Cindy and I, that's probably what we respond to the best, is that ultimately it was going to be on us to do it, and we had to be accountable to ourselves and to each other. So I think that's what more people need. So I can appreciate that. So kind of end on this a little bit. Joel, I know you have some other programs. I mean, I'm definitely interested myself in your 10 rounds, being from Philadelphia, I go way back watching fights with my back to watching fights with my grandfather, being in the gym, the Front Street gym, with all the Irish guys, watching Barry McGuigan on Saturdays. But I'm looking forward to looking at that. But I want to give you an opportunity. Cindy was telling me, and I looked in, you got some new stuff coming about. What's the new stuff you got coming out?
Yeah, well, from the boxing standpoint, 10 rounds is so much fun to do. We filmed that in 6 different cities and wrapped in Philly on the steps of the art museum, and that was a very, very cool moment for me and the team to film and finish on that. Boxing, it's a challenge. It can be very intimidating. You think weightlifting is intimidating when you start throwing combinations, and everyone's always like, "I'm not coordinated enough." Well, no one is when you first start, right? So you got to just keep trying it. But in terms of new stuff, we've already filmed a bunch, and so it's what's called specialty classes. There's a specialty series on BODi, on Beachbody On Demand Interactive, and it's a boxing specialty series that I've developed. And what's really been fun about this is in 10 rounds, or just any program in general, we're tied to the specific structure. We have to stay with the structure. And 10 rounds was very specific in that structure, being 10 rounds, 3-minute rounds, all these different things. In this specialty series, it's allowing, I can do whatever I want. I'm not tied into any sort of formatting. So I can do it one way for a few times, and then I can change it up, which is exactly what I'm doing. So I've been working with my boxing trainer, who's based out of California. She and I have been boxing for years together, where she's been helping me in programming these in terms of like, we look at, this is how I've trained over the years with her. So, and we were able to divide it out. And this is what I like about it, is we divide it out into agility and endurance, a core, bringing we call it in the ring, which is actually throwing shadow boxing, but using some resistance training with that. And then eventually we'll probably bring a strength element into it too. So a lot of options with that, which is great. And then what I'm heading back to LA in a couple of weeks for end of September is to film what's called a super block, which is an extension of existing successful programs. So I'm doing one for Lift More, which is going to be a 3 weeks. So it's 3 weeks, 15 workouts, 15 workouts, and then we do some bonus workouts. So, and these are going to be around 30 minutes. So what's really cool about this, and again, the nice thing is technology evolves and our programming evolves. I can bring the Lift More workouts for 45 minutes. These are going to be about 30 minutes, and bringing back some favorite elements of the program, but then also factoring in some new stuff as well. So that's going to be launching the first Monday of December. I think it's December 4th. is when that's going to be going. So that's going to finish out the year for me. And then for 2024, I don't know yet. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't know yet. So you guys stay. We just got to stay tuned. But I'm just going to keep plugging along and doing this, because as long as they keep me around, because I love it.
Well, you're obviously doing a fantastic job. Anything to say to Joel before we wrap it up?
Thank you. Thank you for being here on the podcast. Thank you for putting together such great, tough programs that really helped kick my ass a lot. The weighted step ups too, those things. Oh my gosh. At first, when it was just like, you had to do 6 step ups, like on the bench, like 6 on one leg, 6 on the other. And then as the weeks progressed, it was 12 with weights. And that was fun. That was
those will be making a return in December. So those to look forward to.
Good to know.
Yeah, well, Joe, I mean, honestly, I think, as you can see, we were definitely excited to have you on. And I think, to your point, I mean, obviously we're a little bit older, but definitely you're making a difference. And I mean that sincerely. And it's obviously made a huge difference in our lives. And it lets us be even a better example for our kids. And I just want you to know that that's part of what you're doing. And if you don't hear it enough, I want you to hear that. So thank you.
I appreciate that, guys. I really do.
Yeah. So, well, listen, man, I really, I can't thank you enough for being on here on the podcast. I think a lot of people will enjoy this episode, and hopefully it'll help in that battle against obesity, and we'll start to, win that battle more and more. So, Joel, thanks again.
All right. Thanks for having me. Loved it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joel.
Joel, you take care. Good luck with everything. Bye.
Okay. Do.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.